Mount Morris is a Flint, Michigan suburb that is located about 8 miles north of downtown Flint. So, I'll say this right off the bat. If one refers to Mount Morris, they also might be referring to the much larger township, although I feel like most people say Mount Morris Township to avoid any confusion. The city of Mount Morris is located in the far eastern portion of the township, as you can see here. Also within Mount Morris Township is the census-designated place of Beecher. But we're only going to go through Mount Morris, both the city and Mount Morris Township in this video, as Beecher will have its own video. Where we started the video was along Saginaw Road as we entered the city limits from the south. Well, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, as doing all of those things helps these videos destroy the evil monster that is the YouTube algorithm. Also, make sure to hit that notification bell so that you can be notified every time that I upload a new video. Last but not least, if you can't get enough of me on here, you can always go follow me on my other social media accounts, and those links are below. Alright, so now that we're approaching the downtown area, let's now go over the economic stats for Mount Morris, Michigan. The city has a population of 3,100 and the median household income is $37,000 per year. That's nearly half of the national average rate. 4.4% of adults 25 and older hold a bachelor's degree or higher, and off the top of my head, that's one of the lowest rates for college degrees amongst adults that I've seen across all the videos that I've made. And the median value of owner-occupied housing units is $69,000, also very low, while the poverty rate is 33%, which is obviously very high, meaning that 1 out of every 3 Mount Morris residents lives in poverty. Niche.com ranks the public schools as a C-, so those could be a lot better, while the crime rates are right around average, and that's about the best thing that there is when it comes to the stats on paper for Mount Morris. After we get out of the city, we'll get into the economic stats for Mount Morris Township as well, but outside of the crime rates, nothing really looked good there. It's actually really close to the same numbers that we see for Flint. I think it just speaks to the overall economy for the entire Flint area, or you could just say Genesee County. This area grew very rapidly in the early to mid-20th century when auto manufacturing jobs were at their peak. Those jobs didn't require a strong education, and we saw generations of thousands of families in the Flint area that saw college as an afterthought. Flint was the definition of a company town. If you look up company town in the Webster Dictionary, there's a very brief definition of the term, and that definition is Flint, Michigan. No, seriously. You've probably heard me say this over and over again, but General Motors once employed 80,000 workers in the city of Flint alone, but today, there's only 7,000 GM employees in all of Genesee County. And although GM continues to be the largest single employer in Genesee County, the healthcare industry has taken over as the leading professional field in the county, as that field employs as many as 10,000 in Genesee County. Anyway, Flint has failed over time to diversify its economy, and there has been some serious consequences to that through the long-term economic depression that we have seen. It has affected not only Flint, but also other communities like Beecher and Mount Morris. To the left, we just passed by Mount Morris Middle School, which is the lone middle school in the Mount Morris Consolidated School District. Now, the city of Mount Morris was pleased that I chose to visit them on their website. Well, thank you, I feel very welcomed. Well, the website continues to tell everyone what they need to know about Mount Morris, including the fact that the city is close to I-75 and 475, which makes it a quicker drive to places like Flint, Frankenmuth, and Birch Run, in which Birch Run is known for having absolutely nothing outside of a gigantic outlet mall off of I-75 between Flint and Saginaw. And if that's your selling point for your town, then you've got some issues, because, other nearby towns like Flushing and Clio can say the same exact thing. The people working for the city of Mount Morris also would like you to know that they have a district library and several churches of your choice, and that's true with basically every city of any size in the Midwest. So yeah, didn't really learn anything there.
How are you going to pass by the Mount Morris Education and Community Center without mentioning it?
Oh, yes, my bad. To the left, we just passed by the Mount Morris Education and Community Center. Looks like it was a public school originally, and it turned into this later on. Alright, so where was I? Oh yes, here is the downtown area once again, and as you can see, there isn't really much to it. Well, Mount Morris, Michigan is named after the town of Mount Morris, New York, which follows the same trend of many Michigan places being named after a place in New York. And Mount Morris, New York is the area in which Benjamin Pierson was from, who was the first resident of what was to become Mount Morris back in 1833. In 1867, Mount Morris incorporated as a village and as a city in 1929. With that said, here's an old postcard of downtown Mount Morris. Well, now we're heading west, and we're soon going to be out of the city of Mount Morris, and we're going to be in Mount Morris Township. To the left is Montague Elementary School, which is one of 3 elementary schools in the district. So now we're officially outside of the city of Mount Morris, and we're within Mount Morris Charter Township. More on that in a minute. To the right is Elizabeth Ann Johnson High School, home of the Panthers. It is the lone high school within the Mount Morris Consolidated School District. If you haven't heard me mention this in prior videos, in Michigan, a township is an organized government, to put it briefly, and thanks to Michigan's Charter Township Act of 1947, any township with more than 2,000 people in it can become a charter township if they wish to do so. Becoming a charter township in Michigan will give these organized governments more independent power, almost like what a city has. They can establish their own police and fire, they can have a township manager, sort of like what a mayor would be for a city, and they can do pretty much anything except levy taxes without approval from the majority of the township's residents. A popular reason for why a township will want to become a charter township would be to keep everything inside of the township limits to itself. For example, charter status in Mount Morris Township makes it much harder for the city of Mount Morris or for the city of Flint to annex any of the land within Mount Morris Charter Township. Now we're heading south on Clio Road, but yes, Mount Morris Charter Township is pretty large in area, as most townships in Michigan are. Most of the township consists of a through road every mile in either direction with houses and businesses lining each road. Otherwise, you have farm fields, residential subdivisions, and patches of woods that seem to be randomly scattered throughout the land that makes up the township. You can say that this township in particular is more rural than it is suburban, as suburban growth hasn't really happened here to the level as it has in Grand Blanc Township, for example. The population of Mount Morris Charter Township is nearly 20,000 residents, and the median household income is $43,000 per year. Less than 10% of adults 25 and older hold a bachelor's degree or higher, and the median value of owner-occupied housing units is $76,000, while the poverty rate is above 20%. When it comes to crime rates, Mount Morris Township receives a violent crime rate of over 800 for every 100,000 residents, while the property crime rate is around average. So, simply put, there are much better places in the Flint area to live in. This stretch of Clio Road that we're on serves as the border between Beecher and Mount Morris Township, and you can see that things are starting to look pretty rough. We saw the abandoned gas station back there, and we're starting to see more abandoned retail properties up here. Once we cross Carpenter Road, we'll be bordering Flint, and once we get there, you'll see that Clio Road looks like an absolute disaster. It's too bad that things have fallen apart the way that they have, but things have fallen apart the way that they have. Well, anyway, we're now heading west on Pierson Road, and things look more urban along this thoroughfare than anywhere else in Mount Morris Township. And just like with Clio Road, there's plenty of abandoned retail off of Pierson Road as well. To the left is a strip mall that is mostly vacant, and it includes an abandoned Kroger. Sometimes we'll see these chain grocery stores and other retail chains close up shop in an older building only to relocate a stone's throw away in a newer building nearby, but there is no other Kroger nearby. I feel like you don't see abandoned Kroger stores very often, so whenever you do, it must be a really depressed neighborhood or area that it's in, like the one that we're in right now. The closest Kroger from here is about 3.5 miles west in Flushing Township, right on the border with Mount Morris Township. You know, the city of Flint has been declining since the 1960s, and if you've seen all of the videos within my Flint series, that's something that you will have understood. But Genesee County didn't see its first population decline until the 1980s. And before the decline, the county saw a peak population of 450,000, but today, only 406,000 people are left. And we're starting to see the blight come through in areas of the county outside of the Flint city limits, like right here in Mount Morris Township. There are some pretty nice areas in Genesee County still that I have yet to make videos on, so make sure to stay tuned to see places like Flushing, Davison, Swartz Creek, and Grand Blanc, along with Fenton. To the left behind some of these smaller businesses is the site of an old Meijer store. The store was torn down and now it's just vacant property. There's not near as much abandonment, however, on this side of 75 as what we have been seeing for the last 5 minutes. But it looks like it's starting to get there. And here's what one of the residential subdivisions throughout the township looks like. And the rest of this video will just be driving around more of Mount Morris Charter Township just to see what the entire area looks like. In this video, you saw the city of Mount Morris, Michigan, which is in the far northeastern part of Mount Morris Township, and it's almost due north of downtown Flint. And then you saw the rest of Mount Morris Township, which is much larger in area, but it's very sparsely populated, as you can see. There are some thoroughfares here and there that have some retail amenities off of them, and then you have some farm fields, and you have some residential subdivisions, and it's very spread out, and it's also a poverty-stricken area, and you gotta wonder what the future looks like for parts of Mount Morris Township. And now, since we're back in familiar territory and there's really not much else to see, I will end the video here. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, as doing all of those things helps these videos destroy the evil monster that is the YouTube algorithm. Also, make sure to hit that notification bell so that you can be notified every time that I upload a new video. If you enjoyed this video, then you might enjoy checking out some of the featured playlists on this channel. Videos with amazing insights on other places like what you saw here can be found in my Flint playlist or in my Michigan playlist. Last but not least, if you can't get enough of me on here, you can always go follow me on my other social media accounts, and those links are below. We'll see you next time. Peace!